Hey everybody, this is MyCollectables coming back with another video for you. I got a video right here that is really fun and exciting, I think, and it's going to be talking about what I think is the #1 comic that we have on Veve right now. Now, this is July the 11th, so this could change over time depending on what they drop in the app, but this comic that I'm going to show you right here today, I think is the best, okay? And it's just my opinion, so I'd love to hear yours in the comment section as well, right? But I'm going to break it down for you and prove it, and then I have a bonus comic at the end of the video that will also you're going to want to get your hands on, in my opinion, and it also ties into the comic that I think is the best, right? So you can always subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos like this. That would be awesome. And you could always join my channel as a member and you get a free drop head NFT, and we have over 325 owners now and members of it, so we're having a lot of fun and giving away rewards every week, right? And you can also follow me on Twitter. The link's in the description of all my videos, and I will follow you back and we can continue the conversation there, right? For sure. So let's get into this. Which one is the #1 comic in the app, in my opinion? And it might surprise you a little bit, right? So there's some criteria to this. It has to have really great value today, like best today value. You know, it still has to be worth something today. It's not pure speculation, right? But it does have to have speculation in it. It does have to have some future implications that could drive the value up even way higher, right? And my comic that I'm picking today has that, which then ties into the last thing. It has to have really great future value, some of the best, and I think that this comic is going to be great. Like I said, I have that bonus comic at the end, right? So a lot of people, let's get into it, might think that I would pick Marvel Comics #1 as my #1 comic on the app, but I'm not picking Marvel Comics #1 as the #1. Now, I love this comic. It is absolutely amazing. The first comic that we've had on the app, you know, it goes for about $125 on the floor right now. And, you know, there's 48,000 editions of it, so it's really high in edition number. And I think that's one of the pure reasons why I don't have it as my #1 comic, but also because of the FAs and the first appearances and the future speculation. I have another comic that I think is better, and this one is actually behind that comic in the app in regards to value in the marketplace, the commons, right? The one that I have beats this one, which is crazy, right? So let's get into the next one right here. I'm not going to include Amazing Spider-Man 252 in this list because it has the crazy low edition sizes. It's not really fair to compare this comic with any other comic in the app. So I'm not going to include this one, even though I absolutely love it, right? It goes for about $1,800 and there's 425 of the commons. And then if you get down the line, it gets really crazy, right? So I'm not going to include this one in my criteria today. This is the comic right here that I am going to count as my #1 comic on Veve, all right? And this is Avengers 8 with the first appearance of Kang. Now, let me get into this right here for you. I'm going to break it down and prove to you why, okay? And then you can tell me what you think as well, right? Anyway, this comic is going to be so important in the future, everybody. It already is important because it is the #1 valued common comic that we have on the app. It is the highest value of all the comics that don't have crazy edition sizes like Amazing Spider-Man 252 or even the Amazing Spider-Man 130, which is another weird comic, right? This, out of all the normal comics, this one has the highest value, and for good reason. There's only 6,000 of them as a common, and it has the first appearance of Kang, who's going to be absolutely massive in the MCU. Now, I'm going to break down how big he's going to be, and the comic at the end of the video is also going to tie directly into this, right? So you could pick this one up for $135, and I would recommend everybody having at least one copy of that in your collection, right? Then you have the uncommon, which has the weird cover that some people like and some people don't. So it actually is in second place behind Marvel Comics in terms of its value right now. But there's only 2,250 of these, and it's very, very special. It's really neat as well. It goes for about 100 to 105 gems at any given time. So you could pick one of those up, right? Now, this is the other one right here. This is the rare. I'm just going to break down the numbers really quick for you. This one actually is also just behind Marvel Comics 1 in regards to value, but this one only has 1,000 editions, whereas Marvel Comics 1 has got like a ton of editions, right? Compared to this one, and it goes for about 225. It's right behind Marvel Comics 1, right? But now we start to get into the big stuff right here. This ultra rare is the #1 ultra rare on the entire app. You know, know, in regards to regular edition comics, right? And it goes for only $7.69 right now. The value has dropped a bit because of what we're doing with this whole, you know, cheap gem dip that we're having right now. And so this is an unbelievable comic. There's only 500 of them, right? So it's like a secret rare. And like I said, it beats Marvel Comics #1's ultra rare, right? So it's crazy. And then just at the last little bit of the numbers right here, we got the secret rare, which goes for, you know, only 7,400. This one is like such a good deal right now. If I could get to it, it is crazy. There's only 250 available, so it is one of the most scarce secret rares you could get of the most giant character you could get. So let's get into that right now. Let me talk about Kang for you, okay? So Kang is going to be in Ant-Man #3, which is coming up next summer. And so if you don't know who Kang is, you can go on Google or YouTube. You can watch a whole video breaking it down, but basically he's from the future. He has future tech. He time travels around, and there's lots of versions of him. Like this guy up here in this comic on my wall, that's Immortus. He's an older version of Kang, and we saw him in the Loki show already at the end of the Loki show, if you go watch that. So they're setting him up to be really big, and there's a couple reasons why, and the comic I'm going to show you next is also feeding into this, right? But he is going to be a massive, you know, character in the MCU, and his comics in the real world are worth a ton. People love this comic, right? So that also factors in, right? Whereas Marvel Comics #1, it is a first comic on the app, but the edition sizes are really high, and I think that's why this one is actually better. And also, this one has future speculation built into it with characters, which Marvel Comics 1 does not have. Okay, you know, so it is Marvel Comics 1. Believe me, I'm not discounting it. It is great, but I think this one has better future implications, and this secret rare should be worth way more than it's worth right now, in my opinion. And I don't own one, and I really hope one day that I could get one. Right? Anyway, let's get into the bonus comic because it actually helps out with this whole argument, and you're going to be really surprised by this as well, right? So this is the Young Avengers right here. This comic just came recently to the app. Now this is a key comic that you got to get your hands on as well. You can pick up the commons or the secret rare if I were you. Now here's the thing about it that a lot of people don't know. Kang is in this comic. There's a first appearance of a Kang version in this comic right here, and it's Iron Lad, and that's this guy over here. Okay, you see him right there? That's Iron Lad. Now that is Nathaniel Richards from the future. You know, he is a younger version of Kang, and he forms the Young Avengers. Okay, that's what makes this comic so crazy. Now, why did we get this comic in the app? It's because we are going to get the Young Avengers and this version of Kang for sure, in my opinion, in the Ant-Man 3 movie, and it's going to be setting up because he comes back in time to actually work with the Avengers. You know, another version of Kang in the comics tells him to come back. And, you know, he's a young version, right? And he comes back to get the Avengers to help him out and all that stuff, but they're all disbanded, which they are right now, right? So he forms the Young Avengers. And literally at the end of this comic book here, there's a little blip that I'm going to read right here for you. This is inside this comic, okay? Iron Lad, you know, heads to the destroyed mansion where he finds Captain America, Iron Man, and Jessica Jones waiting for him. He explains that his name is, that his armor is neurokinetic, which means it controls by his thoughts. Responding to his thoughts, and that it's advanced by about 1,000 years because he's from the future, because he is Kang from the 30th century, right? Way down the line. So he actually is Kang. So there's a first appearance of Kang in there amongst all the others as well. Now, the important thing to know is that, you know, this character is really important, everybody. He's descendant from Reed Richards. You know, there's a whole thing around it. It gets really complicated, but they're going to make this like pretty much the main thing that's going forward. And then we'll get probably Doctor Doom as well, because it all ties in together. So these two comics I think are very well linked and appropriate that we got them. But this comic in particular right here, I think is the #1 comic on the app. It has great present value right now. The commons #1. It's got great speculation, okay, because, you know, we are getting him in the app, and it's only going to get bigger over their huge plan that they're going to have, the MCU. And it has great future value. It's already been worth way more than this, and it's going to be worth way more in the future, right? So I want to know what you think about this comic, and I want to know what you think about this comic right here. We could get into a whole big discussion about this comic. It's worth it for sure. It all revolves around Kang and Iron Iron Lad. Just look him up. You will be astounded, right? Anyway, let me know what you think about this video. If you think the Avengers 8 is the #1 comic on the app like I do, I certainly have a couple copies. I want to get to the secret rare if I can, and I'm going to desperately try. You let me know what you think as well. I'll see you in the next video. Happy collecting.